I did it on the tool.
Well, Liz, thanks so much for coming. This has been
Sophie.
fun. And I'll be right back with Lindsay Mason. Well, I'm here with Lindsay Mason, who's going to be showing us how to make these really adorable quilted slippers. Welcome.
Thank you.
These are just so cute. I love the fabric and the coordinating buttons and how you've used the different colors of the embroidery floss to coordinate with the fabric. So cute.
Thank you. Yeah,
And-
I love it. I love the colors of the fabric.
And I love the sole of the slipper as well.
Yeah, and you can buy that separately. That's the bootie base.
And you can get them in different sizes. So how do we begin with something like this?
All right. So we have our patterns here. You're going to want to cut the lining out of the appropriate Sherpa fabric. There's the upper boot piece, which tucks underneath the boot. So this can actually be a scrap or a muslin. It's not going to show.
And I should mention that we're going to have all of the directions for this on the website, because
Yes.
it can get a little confusing
Yeah,
making
this
a
might
right
be.
slipper and a left slipper.
Yeah, without seeing the feet.
Right.
So, and just the pattern pieces. And the most important piece here is the patchwork, which is going to be on the outside of the boot.
Okay.
And you're going to want to make sure that you make a mirror image piece. This is the left outside boot piece, and then this is going to be the right outside boot piece.
Got it, because you don't want to end up with two left feet.
No.
That would be bad. Okay.
So you cut those out, and you'll get these pattern pieces here. So this is left foot. And you're going to want to use the same pattern piece to cut out a coordinating fabric, which
and
is
if
the
you
inside.
wanted, if you didn't want to do patchwork, you could certainly do
you don't
a
have
solid
to.
fabric.
Definitely. There are just so many great fabrics to work with. I tried to throw them all in.
So I noticed that you've already started to sew.
Yeah, so I did a basting stitch there just because the patchwork falls apart a little.
Okay.
So it's easier to work with.
So then what's the next?
So next you're going to want to attach the upper boot to the bottom boot. And this piece over here shows that step with a seam sewn up the center front.
And this actually, you're not going to see this either.
No, the top of this muslin piece is folded underneath the Sherpa, so that doesn't show.
Okay, and for this rounded part, I noticed that you had a pattern for that as well.
We have a toe tip pattern piece, and you're going to attach that to the toe strip, and that's top stitch onto the tip of the boot.
Got it. Okay, so what's the next step?
And then we're going to want to sew up the back seam. So right sides together.
Now, do you ever bother to pin it, or do you just kind of eyeball it?
I'm supposed to pin it, but I don't.
Okay.
And it's okay not to.
So are you using a 1/4 inch seam allowance?
I'm going to use a 1/2 inch.
Okay. And what kind of foot are you using? Just a straight foot?
Yes. Just a regular.
And does it matter what kind of thread you use when you're piecing these?
I would use a brown or one of the colors that's in your fabric,
Just like a straw,
really.
like a cotton?
But it, again, it's probably not going to show. Most of it's being sewn on the muslin piece, which is folded under.
Okay. So you go all the way to the top,
Yes.
and then do you open up the seams when you're done with that?
Yeah, it's best and easiest if you press what you can. It's a little bit hard to because it is a boot, so it's okay to lay it down like this and press over.
Okay.
So the next step is to attach the lining, and to do this, flip this inside out.
And the lining's already been stitched.
Yes,
at
the
this
lining's
point as
already
well.
been stitched, and also it's easiest to go through and cut this seam down as short as you can.
Okay, so you'd want to use a good pair of scissors for
Yeah,
that.
cut it down to like 1/4 of an inch almost.
This looks like just about like it's been done, but I'm just going to do a little bit more.
And you'll take your lining piece and pull it over the shell of the boot, right sides together.
Okay, so the outer boot goes inside.
Yep, so Sherpa to the outer lining. And I'm going to want to top stitch all along the outside here. And I'll do that. And again, it would be easiest if I pinned it, but I don't pin.
Just for now.
I don't pin.
You don't pin? Renegade sewer. And once again, you're just using the same,
Yep,
same foot, same thread.
And a 1/2 inch.
And going all the way around.
All the way around. around.
And again, you're going to be opening your seam so that everything lies flat once you've made this stitch. And you're just making sure that that lining is staying steady with the...
Yep. Okay.
And you don't leave an opening at this point. You've stitched it completely
all the way
closed.
around, yes. And then, this is the fun part. Pull it inside out.
And then you put it right side. Oh, isn't that clever?
Stuff it
you know,
in.
it's hard to explain that to somebody,
Yeah.
and that's why it's good to do this visually.
Yeah, and so you'll get this.
See, now that's
It'll look like this.
So this is the
over here.
result. So so this is the clean line that you just made.
Yeah, and the pattern's engineered so that it's a ½ an inch larger, the lining.
The lining is ½ an inch
so
larger.
you won't see this you shouldn't see that pattern piece at all.
Okay. And I noticed on the bottom, you've already done quarter
Yep,
inch.
I added another top stitch all the way around to secure everything together. So this is the boot top, and it's pretty much all set to go into the boot base.
Excellent. So that would be the next step, right?
Yeah. So what I like to do is I actually put my foot into the boot bottom, and
Your
then
actual real foot.
Yes.
Okay.
And I pull this over. So I have my foot inside, and I pull the boot bottom up over my foot and then pin it.
Okay.
So while my foot's in it, I pin the boot base into the boot bottom.
Okay.
And
Being very careful not to prick yourself.
yeah,
That would
I
be
mean
painful.
I do, but I'm used to it. Sewers are. So to attach it, you do use embroidery floss. I used a brown, and you just do a back stitch all the way through and all the way around.
Well, show us how you would hand stitch this with
Okay.
the back stitch.
And you go back through one of those
Hence,
holes.
it's called the back stitch. So the base actually already has the holes punched into it.
Yeah, which is really nice.
It's a nice little cheater tool.
Yeah. So and then you just keep going through.
Well, this would make a really nice Mother's Day gift, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
And you would go all the way around the sole.
All the way. Yep.
Sole of the boot.
And do you want to pull the finished ones over there?
And now show us how you fold this down.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this here is what it will look like, and you fold it all the way down
Oh, that's real
as far
technical.
as you want to. It's difficult. And I like to fold it
Oh, so
like
go all
almost
way
to the
down.
bottom because I think that's really cute.
All right, so the next step would be to secure the fold in place with the buttons.
Yeah, and that's what the buttons are great for. And I use different color embroidery flosses in here to kind of make the buttons
So
stick out.
cute. So you could choose really chunky and colorful buttons.
Or you could do a couple little ones, which is what I did.
These would be really cute.
Yep, I like those a lot.
And then there's little ones. You could change it up so that you had some larger ones and some smaller ones.
And you can even stack buttons, which is something that I love to
Oh,
do.
so I could have taken this blue one and put it right on top
Yeah, you can
of
stack the brown ones, you can stack different colored ones. So
Very,
buttons
very
add a really
cute.
cool
Well, I'd like
decorative
to
element.
go back and just summarize this again because
Okay.
we've gone through a lot of steps, and I have mentioned that this pattern will be on the website, but it's always good to review. Okay, so you start with your patterns.
Yep.
And then you have to cut out the patterns for your toe strip and your
and the toe tip. Yeah. And so I found one of the fabrics was awesome because it was already circular, so it fit perfectly.
Nice motif. Now, actually, you don't have if you wanted to, you could make this a tall boot or a tall slipper, couldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. You could definitely do that, and to do that, you would just use the lining slippers and cut the shell out of the lining piece as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Well, this has been a lot of fun, Lindsay. Thank
Thank you.
so much for coming.
You're welcome.
And I'll be